Hi there. Okay, I just got my paper pumpkin kit for May, and I thought I would make some different samples using the supplies in the kit. So let's see what we have here. So of course we've got envelope. We've got some pretty wavy type paper. We'll do something fun with that. We have some stamps. This one says seriously. This one says you kick booty. And this one is love your guts. So we have 4 scored and folded cards. We've got some twine and some silver buttons. Self-adhesive die cuts. More self-adhesive die cuts. And then this is what the finished card is going to look like. So let's do one exactly like the sample. We'll take our pre-scored and folded cardstock here. We're going to add, now there are directions here, I'm just not reading them. I'm just going by the picture. So it looks like we're going to glue this on. So we'll add some tape. And it looks like this is pretty well centered. So I'm just going to, now for a tip for centering, if you hold the paper in your hand and you're lining up this side and the top and the bottom. And so I'm kind of lightly setting it down but not pressing it yet. And that looks pretty good. And then once I think it looks good, then you can give it a good pressing. If this did stick down and it was crooked, you could use your heat tool and you would heat all the edges where you applied the adhesive. It would warm it and allow you to remove your paper without tearing it. Okay, so the next thing is one of these little tags here. So let's pull this off. It's great because they're already stamped for you. They're already cut around the edges and they have adhesive on the back. So we're going to put this one towards the top, a little bit off the edges of the layering piece. And I think that looks pretty good. Let me move that up just a smidgen there. Get that nice and even. Okay, and it looks like we're going to stamp seriously here, and you kick booty there. So we have it on the block here. I'm going to check it out and make sure it's on there straight. Oh, I forgot. We also get this little stamping spot of cherry cobbler. So you can use the edge of your scissors or a hobby blade just to cut that paper so you can open up the spot. There we go. So because this is a small stamping spot and this stamp is larger than the spot, it's better to have your stamp upside down and then you can just pat, pat, pat. Now I want to make sure that it's on the block straight, so I'm going to use my grid paper to check. I'm going to line up the edge of the acrylic block to one of the lines on the grid paper. And there's my cat. Sorry. Okay, so it looks like it's pretty straight, so I did a good job there. So we're just going to repeat what we did. We're going to take the stamp and press, press, press to get that nice and inky. And now that we know it's on the block straight, I'm going to use the edge of the block to line up to the edge of this paper, just so I have a guide for stamping that straight. And you know what? If it's crooked, it's not the end of the world, right? Okay, so there's my seriously. It looks pretty good. So we're going to take this up, come back to the card, and it looks like this goes pretty close to the center. It overlaps a little bit on the green here, so I'm just going to set it down, maybe a little bit up like that, and scoot that over and press that down. So now the next thing I want to stamp is the you kick booty. Okay, so now we're going to pat, 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 and again use the edge of the acrylic block on one of the lines and stamp that down. Oh look, that looks good too. Alrighty, so now we're just going to go back, add some ink, and then we're going to come back to the self-adhesive die cuts, and we're going to again use the edge of the block here to one of the lines on the paper so that I know that I'm straight. And look what happened. See, I got a little line because I wiggled the stamp. So we're going to use scissors and just give this a little bit of a trim. It's okay if the sample doesn't look exactly. So see, I just gave that a trim there. So we're going to pull this up and we're going to line this up right about, looks like it overlaps a little bit. So I'm just going to go right about here and press that down. So now we're going to add some twine. I'm going to unwrap this. Oh, you know what? I think they've already cut it for us too. Look at that. So just pull this out. And it looks like it wraps around a couple of times. So we're going to go around. And then it has a bow that's tied through the button. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Now if you have a frayed edge here, go ahead and trim it. It'll just make it easier going through the button. Hopefully. And then we're going to pull this one up as well. Oh, sorry, I gotta find that little opening right there. I think I've got it. Oh, I had a loose one in there. Okay. So now we've got this pulled up. It's a lot of string here. I probably could have wrapped around a third time too. So we're going to tie this like this first, get it all nice and tight. Bring this over. And then we're going to tie a bow. It's like a present. And we can make that a little bit smaller. It looks pretty. And we're going to cut and cut. Now because we went all the way around the card, it's easy to scoot this and get this in the right position, although I think I like it where it's at. Now the only other thing that I would do is tuck a glue dot under here, just so that doesn't move around too much. And there you go, your card's finished. That was pretty quick, huh? Do you want to see what I've done with the other cards? Okay, remember this is the one that we created exactly like the directions state. And then I came up with this one. So I didn't use a button on this one, I just tied the twine around here. And you can see that I've added dimensionals between the different layers just to give it some more dimension, and I also popped this up on dimensionals. So I'll show you how to add dimensionals to the back of the self-adhesive die cuts a little bit later. So that's card number 2. Card number 3, I decided to distress it with some black Stays-On ink on the silver button. I also distressed the edges of the paper with the black Stays-On ink just to give it kind of a grungy, distressy kind of look. Just something a little bit different. And then the last card, I haven't completely put it together because I wanted to show you a couple of things first. On this background here, I actually ran it through the embossing folder. I think you can see the stripes, the embossed stripes that are going across just to give it some texture. I ended up wrapping the twine around this layering piece instead of the whole card, and the little silver button is there. This is stuck straight down. I decided to stamp the Seriously and the Love Your Guts directly on this one die cut. And the way that you add dimensionals to a self-adhesive die cut, you're going to put your dimensionals on the back. Do not remove the paper backing from your dimensional. Then you're going to take an embossing buddy and you're going to pat, pat, pat. It's going to get very powdery, and the powder is going to stick on the exposed adhesive. That's also why you don't want to remove the backing to the dimensionals, because you don't want the powder to stick to your dimensionals. So once you have the powder from your embossing buddy all over the sticky part, you can pull off the backing to your dimensional so they're still sticky. And then we're going to place this. I could move it offset a little bit, but you know, I kind of like it right in the center here. So I'm going to get this right about here. Make sure that's lined up straight. And there you go. Now I want to go back to this card for just a minute. So see how we added some black to the silver button? What you're going to do, set your button down on your paper. You're going to open up your black Stays-On ink pad, and you're simply going to pat. And it might stick a little, so that's all right. Let's see if we can get that to come up. And see, you've already got black on there. It's just that simple. Let's see if I can get a little more black on there. Give that a second. Oopsie. Flip that back over. Give that a second to dry, and then you can add that to your card. Scoop that out of the way. So we'll bring all the cards out so you can see all the different ways you can make the cards in the My Paper Pumpkin kit. If you'd like to sign up for My Paper Pumpkin, please go to KeenanCreations.com and you can follow the link there. Or you can go to mypaperpumpkin.com, but please be sure and choose Brenda Keenan as your demonstrator if you don't already have one. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day. Thanks.